The day my baby stopped breathing was the day I knew my heart could truly break and still keep beating. It was a Tuesday. The sun outside was bright, the kind that made the red roofs of Owane shine. But inside our small flat, it felt like night. Not because it was dark, but because something heavy had filled the room. The kind of heavy that makes it hard to breathe. My baby's name was Chizaram, but we all call her Zara. She was only 5. She had soft cheeks like puff puff, curly hair like her father, and bright eyes that followed every sound. That morning, I had dressed her in a yellow onesie with small flowers. She had smiled at me, still sleeping, but before the day ended, that smile was gone. And not long after, so was her breath. The doctor in the hospital wore white, but to me, he looked like the shadow of bad news. He said it in a small voice, as if saying it quietly would make it hurt less. He said she had sickle cell crisis, severe one. She couldn't fight anymore. I remember sitting on the wooden bench outside the ward. The green paint was chipped and ants crawled around my slippers. Ebuka, my husband, stood beside me. He didn't say anything. He didn't cry. He just kept breathing, one breath after another, like someone afraid of forgetting how. That was the moment my thoughts ran back to where everything started. Before Zara, before the hospital, before I became a mother with a silent house. I grew up in Abapa, in a house near a broken water tap that never ran. The streets were full of small shops and neighbors who shouted greetings like bells. My mother sold vegetables at Ogbete markets. My father was a retired teacher who still corrected people's grammar during evening news. We didn't have plenty, but we had enough to laugh. We had soft pillows, Sunday rice, and stories after dinner. When I was in school, we learnt about genotype, AA, AS, SS. It sounded like school grades to me. My parents told me I was AA. That was it. I never asked again. It didn't matter to me then. I was a girl who loved to dance and dreamed of wearing white on her wedding day. I met Ebuka during my third year in the university. He was in engineering. He fixed radios for money and read books with torn covers. He had kind eyes and hands that looked strong but held gently. We met at a birthday party. He gave me rice and one chicken leg and laughed when I picked the smallest piece. I smiled back. We started talking that night and never stopped. We dated for 2 years. He proposed under a mango tree near my hostel, holding my hands with shaky fingers and no ring. I said yes before he could finish the sentence. He was the one. I felt it in my heart and my bones. We didn't talk about genotype. Nobody asked. Not my mom. Not my aunt. Not even the priest who blessed our union. We had love. We had dreams. That felt like enough. When I got pregnant for the first time, I was full of joy. I sang while cooking. I bought tiny clothes from Kenyatta Market and I prayed for a smooth delivery. During one of the antenatal visits, the nurse asked if we had done genotype screening. I said I was AA. She nodded. It was a routine, she said. The next visit, Ebuka came with me. When the nurse looked at his results, her face changed. She looked confused. She asked us to wait. She called another doctor. They whispered in the corner. Then she turned and told us that Ebuka was AS. I smiled and said it's okay. I am AA. She shook her head gently. No, you are AS too, she said. I didn't believe it. I had always believed I was AA. That was what my parents told me. But the test said different thing. We repeated it, different clinic, same results, AS, and Ebuka was AS too. Suddenly, love didn't feel like enough. The doctor explained it slowly. When 2 AS people have a child, there's a 25% chance that the baby will have SS, sickle cell disease, a pain that comes and goes, that hides and jumps out without warning, a pain that could take a life too early. But it was already too late. I was pregnant. The baby was coming. We didn't know what to do except pray. Zara came into the world one rainy evening in July. She was so beautiful. I forgot everything else. Her fingers were tiny. Her toes curled when I tickled them. She had her father's eyes and my dimple. When she cried, I laughed. When she slept, I watched her for hours. For the first few months, everything was peaceful. She ate well, grew fast, and giggled whenever I made monkey sounds. I told myself that maybe God had spared us. Maybe she was lucky. Maybe you had been blessed. Then one night, she had a fever. Her body was hot like boiling water. She cried and cried, twisting like something was biting her from the inside. We rushed her to the hospital. They gave her blood. They gave her medicine. She got better. But 2 months later, it happened again. Then again. One kind nurse pulled me aside and asked if we had tested her genotype. I said we hadn't. She said we should. I held her in my hand as they took her blood. She didn't cry much. She was used to the pain. A week later, the results came. SS. My world cracked like dry ground. I had done this to her. I had made this child with love, but now she had lived with pain. No joy, pain. But I couldn't take it back. Zara's life was not like other children's. She couldn't play for long, she couldn't run in the rain or dance under the sun. Too much cold gave her pain, too much happiness could bring sickness. Everything was a risk. Hospitals became her second name. The smell of medicine filled our house. I learned how to give her warm baths, how to make soup full of vegetables, how to distract her when she cried. I learned how to hide my tears too. Ebuka changed. He worked longer hours. He stopped singing in the morning. Sometimes he sat in silence, just staring at the wall. I knew what he was thinking. It was the same thing that lived in my chest every day. We did this. We never asked the right questions. We brought pain into the world with love in our hands. There were nights that begged me to stop the pain. She would cry into my dress saying, "Mommy, help me," but I couldn't. All I could do was hold her and pray. Some nights I cried in the bedroom, biting my lips so no one would hear. Then that Tuesday came. Zara had a cold, a small one, nothing serious. She still smiled. She still wanted to draw with her crayons, but by afternoon, her breath was fast. She held her chest. Her fingers turned dark. We ran to the hospital. They gave her oxygen. They called doctors. They tried everything, but her little body was tired, and before midnight, she was gone. I held her hand until it grew cold. I kissed her forehead and whispered that I was sorry, that I loved her more than the world. The house felt quiet after that. Her toys stayed in their corner. Her shoes stayed by the door. I couldn't pack them. Not yet. It has been 1 year since she left. Some nights, I still hear her voice. Some morning, I reach for her before I remember. Ebuka and I now go to schools, churches, and youth meetings. We tell people our story. We teach them about genotype. We tell them, check before you fall in love. Don't waste like we did. Love is not enough if it brings pain to the child you will hold one day. People listen. Some thank us. Some ask questions. Some cry. And every time I talk, I feel Zara sitting on my lap, smiling, telling me I'm doing okay. If I could speak to my younger self, the one who danced under the mango tree and believed love was everything, I would hold her hand and say, check, ask, no, because 1 in 4 is enough to break your heart forever. And even though my heart is broken, I still carry her smile.